The studio lights burned brighter than usual that morning. Something in the air felt charged, like static before a storm. Cameras were rolling, audience murmurs filled the background, and Taylor Swift, poised in her signature calm, was mid-sentence when Joy Behar cut in. "You can't sing your way out of accountability, sweetheart." The words hit like a slap in a silent room. For a split second, Taylor froze, not because she didn't have a response, but because she couldn't believe Joy had just gone there. The crowd gasped. You could feel the collective inhale of shock ripple across the set. The camera operator didn't even blink. Instinct told him to stay locked in. Taylor slowly placed her cue cards on the table, fixed on Joy. Her voice, low but steady, broke the silence. "Excuse me." The tension was thick enough to feel through the screen. Even Whoopi Goldberg, who had seen every kind of TV chaos unfold, leaned back with that, "Oh no, here it comes" look. Joy, however, didn't flinch. Her expression was casual, but her tone carried that familiar sting, the one that made headlines. The control room erupted. "Cut to commercial. Cut now." A producer shouted through the headset, but nobody moved. The audience was locked in, hanging on every second. Taylor tilted her head slightly, the kind of look that says 1,000 things without a single word. Her microphone caught the faint sound of her breath, steady and slow. "Joy," she finally said, "I came here to talk about my work, not to be disrespected for it." Joy smirked. "I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what real artists can handle?" The audience didn't cheer. They didn't boo. They just watched. Taylor's expression shifted from shock to something colder, sharper. Her hand brushed her mic, as if deciding whether to stay or walk. The set lights reflected off her eyes, and for the first time, the audience saw it, the unfiltered version of Taylor Swift that rarely appears on live television. Then, with perfect calm, she said, "If this is what you call accountability, Joy, maybe it's time you face some too." The room went silent. No music, no applause. Just a heartbeat of pure, electric disbelief. And somewhere in the control booth, the feed kept rolling. Asterisk, just hours before the chaos unfolded. Everything about the morning seemed routine. Taylor arrived at the View set with quiet confidence. Black blazer, silver earrings, and that signature calm that makes people underestimate her fire. The show's producers greeted her warmly. Cameras tested, lights adjusted, nothing unusual. Yet behind the glass of the control booth, one voice carried a warning tone. "Joy's in one of her moods today." Taylor's team brushed it off. She'd handled tougher interviews, politicians, late-night hosts, even journalists who baited her with personal rumors. But The View was supposed to be different. It was meant to be a friendly chat about her new project, a campaign empowering young women to speak without fear. As the cameras rolled, the conversation began light laughter, applause and compliments on her success. But Taylor could sense it. Joy's tone had that edge, the kind that comes before a storm. "You talk a lot about using your platform," Joy began, "but where were you when certain issues needed your voice?" Taylor blinked. There it was, the trap question. The kind that's not about curiosity, but confrontation. She smiled politely, adjusting in her seat. "I speak when I know it helps, not when it just adds noise." The audience clapped softly, unsure which side to take. Joy leaned back, unsatisfied. "Sounds like a strategy, not courage." The words hung in the air like smoke. Even Whoopi shot Joy a quick glance, silently asking her to ease up. But Joy didn't. She had sensed the tension. Now she wanted to push it until something cracked. The energy in the room shifted. What began as a talk show was about to turn into a televised battlefield. Asterisk laughter rippled through the audience, half nervous, half entertained. Joy smirked, satisfied she'd cornered the biggest pop star on the planet. "Strategic silence, Taylor? That's not empowerment, that's PR." Taylor's smile didn't fade, but her eyes changed, cold, unflinching. You could almost see the moment she decided not to play nice anymore. "Joy, you confuse thoughtfulness with fear. There's a difference between staying quiet and staying wise." The room shifted. You could feel it. Even the audience stopped laughing. Joy leaned forward, voice rising just enough to sting. "Oh, don't act like a saint. You built an empire on breakup songs, not bravery." Mushy. A flash of pain crossed Taylor's face, gone in an instant. That wasn't just a jab, it was personal. Her hand tightened on the coffee mug, then relaxed. "If honesty offends you, Joy, maybe it's because you've forgotten what it sounds like." The air froze. For the first time, Joy looked startled. The control room went silent. What began as an interview had turned into something raw to women, both powerful, both unyielding, clashing live. With the world watching, Joy's expression hardened, the practiced grin vanishing. She leaned in closer, elbows on the table, voice slicing through the tension. "You know what your problem is, Taylor? You're the most calculated artist on earth. Every word, every tear, planned." The crowd reacted, gasps, murmurs, even a few nervous laughs. Taylor didn't flinch. Her silence was louder than any argument. When she finally spoke, her tone was calm, but laced with fire. "If being prepared makes me fake, then maybe the world should stop rewarding chaos." Joy laughed, short, sharp, dismissive. "Oh, please, sweetheart. You're not changing the world. You're just selling records." And that was it. The last line crossed a line no one saw coming. Taylor straightened in her chair, eyes steady on Joy. "And yet, here you are using my name for ratings." The audience erupted, clapping, cheering, some even booing. Joy raised her hands to quiet them, but the moment had already slipped away. Taylor had taken control. Whoopi looked off stage, signaling to producers, but the control room hesitated. This was viral gold. They couldn't cut away now. The tension hung heavy, alive, electric. Two generations, two powers, colliding in front of millions, and neither was willing to back down. The moment the show cut to commercial. Chaos erupted behind the scenes. Producers rushed forward, hands waving, voices overlapping. "Keep it professional. We're live in 30 seconds. But Joy wasn't done. She leaned toward one of the crew members, her mic still hot, and muttered under her breath. "Watch her play the victim after this, just like always." It was supposed to be off camera. It wasn't. The line slipped into the live feed for just 2 seconds before the network cut the audio. But 2 seconds was all it took. The internet had already captured it. Taylor didn't react, not yet. When the cameras came back on, she sat perfectly still. Hands folded, eyes locked on Joy. Then, in that unshakable calm that makes silence louder than shouting, she said, "If standing up for myself makes me the villain, then maybe I'm fine playing that role." A ripple of applause rolled through the audience, cautious at first, then rising into full support. Joy blinked, realizing she'd lost control of the narrative. That clip, 7 seconds of pure defiance, went viral within minutes. Fans flooded social media, defending Taylor. Hashtag Justice for Taylor and hashtag Unmute the View trended worldwide before the show even ended. Inside the studio, Joy sat frozen, her face tight with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The damage was done. The story had escaped the set, and the world was already watching. Within hours. The View was trending for all the wrong reasons. The clip of Joy's victim comment spread like wildfire, replayed, slowed down, remixed, dissected. Fans demanded answers. News outlets replayed the confrontation on loop, and the network scrambled to contain the fallout. An anonymous source from the production team leaked that Taylor had been asked to leave early after the segment. For her comfort? But everyone knew what that meant. They wanted to silence the storm before it swallowed the show. Taylor's camp stayed quiet. No tweets, no interviews, no statements. Just silence, the kind that speaks louder than any defense. Until that night, during her sold-out concert in Chicago, the lights dimmed midway through the show. On the big screen, white letters appeared over black. They tried to silence me on The View. Then the beat dropped, her hit song The Archer. But this time, a new line was added live. "You can't mute a voice built on truth." The crowd erupted. Fans knew exactly what it meant. Within minutes, clips flooded TikTok, turning her response into an anthem. Meanwhile, Joy returned to The View the next morning, unusually subdued. She called it a misunderstanding, smiling through tight lips. But viewers could tell this time she wasn't in control. The clash had outgrown the show. It had become a movement, one Taylor never planned, but completely owned. Asterisk. Days turned into weeks, but the echo of that confrontation refused to fade. Every clip, every headline, every fan edit carried the same message. Taylor didn't walk away, she stood her ground. What was supposed to be a messy talk show moment had transformed into something far more powerful, a statement about control, voice, and the price of speaking truth in a world that profits from chaos. Joy Behar tried to steer the narrative back, calling the exchange a spirited debate and joking about it on air, but viewers weren't buying it. The audience's loyalty had shifted. People didn't see Taylor as the overexposed celebrity anymore. They saw a woman who refused to be cornered. Her team never issued a press release, and that silence became her sharpest weapon. Every headline that tried to twist the story was drowned out by millions of fans repeating her words, "If standing up for myself makes me the villain, then maybe I'm fine playing that role." Those words became a mantra, printed on posters, turned into remixes, even quoted by other artists. For Taylor, the confrontation wasn't an ending. It was a rebirth. The next time she appeared on stage, she smiled before her opening song and whispered to the crowd, "You can't cancel authenticity." The lights dimmed. And the roar that followed wasn't just applause, it was a collective scream of recognition. Meanwhile, The View's ratings dipped for the first time in months. The moment that was meant to humble her had done the opposite. It had immortalized her. And somewhere deep down, even Joy Behar knew. She had just become a footnote in Taylor Swift's story. Asterisk. And that's how a simple interview turned into one of the most unforgettable live television moments of the decade. But beneath the applause, the outrage, the headlines, one question still lingers. Was Taylor Swift defending herself or defying the system? Because what happened on The View wasn't just a clash between two powerful women. It was a collision between authenticity and authority. One standing for control over her own story, the other protecting the system that profits from tearing stories apart. So now it's your turn to decide. Was Joy Behar simply doing her job, challenging celebrity privilege, or did she cross a line that no host should ever cross? Drop your thoughts below. Let's see where the world really stands. Because sometimes, it's not the argument that defines a moment, it's the silence that follows it. And in that silence, Taylor didn't back down. She rewrote the rules of who gets to speak and who finally gets heard. So tell us, who was right, Joy or Taylor? Because this isn't just about an interview anymore. It's about power, truth, and the price of using your voice.